Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting night of El Dorado Bronco baseball from beautiful McDonald Stadium in El Dorado. Kurt Caden along with Avery Osen as we get ready for a heated rival after last night's 16-inning win for the Broncos. Now they take on mighty Wellington, who comes in with a record of 28-3, 19-3 in Jayhawk League play. Let's give you the starting lineups, the batting order for Wellington. They'll lead off with Aaron Seipel, the center fielder. Rowdy Andrews, the designated hitter, bats second. Kirk Rocha will play left field and bat third. Tony Piazza, fourth at first base. Luke Doyle playing third base, bats fifth. Grant Buchanan is the second baseman tonight. He'll bat sixth. Kyle Lacey is in right field, batting seventh. Paul Richmond behind the plate. He is a good one. And Casey Thomas is at shortstop. On the hill tonight for Wellington is Cale Russell.
In the field for the Broncos tonight, starting in left field, Dylan Muka, followed by Sam Field in center and Michael Muka in right field. At third base tonight is Max Hogan, Morgan Oliver at shortstop, the second baseman Levi Parker, and third baseman is Zach Fields. As the first pitch from starting pitcher Mike Hahn to catcher Jonathan Schmidt is in there for a strike.
First pitch temperature here in El Dorado, 97 degrees. Seipel fights one off down the left field line. That's a fair ball and ricochets into the corner. Seipel's got two with his eyes on three. Takes a big turn and hits the brakes and will return to second base. But an excellent start from Wellington. And Avery, it seems like every time we've seen Wellington and El Dorado, the heat jump on you early. They've gone in some lulls midway through games, but boy, that first inning, it seems like they're always putting pressure, and that's been a common theme for the Broncos here the last 6-7 games.
In big part to Aaron Seipel, who usually has gotten on base to start the game and really puts the pressure on the Broncos pitcher right from the start.
Yeah, he's a great instigator. Now Rowdy Andrews squares the bunt, and a bunt that flies over and out of the stadium right behind us. Rowdy Andrews from Eckerd College, he's a righty. We've seen him play shortstop, seen him play second base. Tonight he's the DH for Wellington and looking to bunt, and this has been the theme as well. Wellington likes to move guys along. They play station-to-station baseball, and they're going to say Andrews attempted at that. Didn't look like a real great attempt, but he's looking at an 0-2 hole now. So decision time early on for the coaching staff, and now if you're Andrews, you just want to put the ball in play and hit it preferably to the right side and get Seipel over to third base somehow. That's the Wellington plan here in the top of the first. Mike Hahn on the hill for the Broncos. He's ahead 0-2, would love a strikeout. Throws a curveball, it's high, 1-2. Mike Hahn plays at Kearney in Nebraska, from Fremont, Nebraska. 6'6", 185 is Hahn. Comes into this game with a pretty high ERA, and he's looking to bring that down tonight. The 1-2 pitch to Andrews off the plate, ball two.
Kind of interesting, both teams going with the black uniforms tonight on the hottest night of the season. So we'll see how that plays into any effect in this game.
The Wellington uniform is very similar to what we normally see. Of course, we know El Dorado's got several different uniforms. They went with the black. That is an interesting choice. I thought, I know they went with they had the orange last night, but might have thought that might have been a good choice here tonight. Sun beating down, beautiful sunshine here in El Dorado. Not a cloud in the sky. There is a little bit of breeze tonight. We didn't have that last night. Hahn delivers to Andrews up the middle and through the infield out to Sam Lane in center field. Seipel is stopped at third base. So Rowdy Andrews, Avery, unable to get the bunt down, but he comes through, and he was in an 0-2 hole, really battled that at bat, got it full, and then bounced a single up the middle. And Wellington really in business now with the very dangerous Kirk Rocha up, runners at first and third. We always have a good gathering of Wellington fans who watch and listen to our broadcast here on YouTube. We welcome you to tonight's action. Michael Hahn's pitch off of Schmitz. He's able to quickly run it down, and no advance from Andrews. And we've always had good conversations with the Wellington fans as well as, of course, our Bronco fans. So we invite you to drop us a line right there on the YouTube page. You can just give us a comment. We'd love to see who's watching and listening tonight, where you are. The I guess the one with the furthest mileage watching has to be Michael Muka's dad last night. He was watching the game while flying into Washington, D.C. So when Michael, the hero last night, delivered the game-winning single, I can just picture Michael Muka's dad on the airplane. Jonathan Schmitz having some equipment issues, it looks like. The right shin guard, I'm not sure if it has blown up or what, but he'll get some new gear on. That had to be fun for Michael Muka's dad. Commented to us in extra innings, I think was the first time we heard from him, and then lo and behold, it's Michael who comes up in the 16th inning and delivers the game winner.
Yeah, that was awesome, and for him to be able to watch these games, I'm sure it was pretty cool for him being so far away and still being able to see his son hit the game-winning hit.
Let's see, we had Henry Weiler's family watching and listening. They wanted to send a shout out. I saw in their comments they put it all in caps, so they were truly shouting it. But they sent their good wishes. Weiler did a good job. As we get a moment here, Avery, the Broncos winning in 16 innings last night. It was a rough start as El Dorado fell behind 6-1, but tell you what, the relief corps, I thought Weiler settled the waters a bit. Trevor Azell was really good. Chase Goulza was his normal good self. Greg Hauser worked out of a big jam, and then Joe Kennedy worked in and out of trouble. But really a fine job by the Broncos to come away with a very close victory last night.
Yeah, really good job. And the Broncos, it's really what they needed, a big win against Derby, a team that's in second in their league. And those games this season haven't really gone their way. And to see one go their way at this part in the season, then really hopefully will give them some momentum carrying on to finish this season.
Yeah. And not only were they down 6-1, remember in the 13th inning, Derby scored, and they had the Broncos down to their last strike, but Levi Parker was able to flip a base hit that scored Cameron Knight to tie the game in the bottom of the 13th inning. So it was a doubly sweet win with a couple of comebacks for the Broncos and to beat the second-place Derby Twins. We'll see those Derby Twins again tomorrow night right here at McDonald Stadium. Then the Broncos will travel to Derby on Thursday. 3-game weekend series right here at McDonald Stadium with the Liberal BJs coming up as well. Parents' weekend, lots going on this weekend, so invite you to come out here to the stadium. Back to this one, Seipel led off the game with a double. He advanced to third on the single from Rowdy Andrews, who's over at first base. Kirk Rocha has seen one pitch. It was a ball. That was happened just before the equipment issues for catcher Jonathan Schmitz.
The Broncos defense will give up a run to get a double play here.
Rocha squares to bunt. You know, that's what I think makes this Wellington team so good is, and I don't have their head coach's name, but here's Kirk Rocha. We know he can swing that lumber. Runners at first and third, and he's squaring to bunt. I mean, no one is immune to not bunting on this team. They will move runners the best they can at any chance, and it's no wonder why they're so successful. They continue to get guys in scoring position, keep giving themselves opportunities. It's been winning baseball. They're 28-3. You can't argue with that. 2-1 count and a check on Rowdy Andrews. Tony Piazza waits in the on-deck circle. These two teams met on the 4th of July, a game that saw El Dorado race out to a 5-0 lead, only to fall 7-5 to the Heat on the fireworks night. Rocha with a little hit and run where Andrews was going, and Rocha fouls it off into the parking lot, and I have no idea how that didn't hit either that white truck to our right and the car next to it, but it bounced right in between. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hogan at third, Oliver at short, Parker at second, and Zach Fields at first. That's the infield here for the home standing Broncos. Michael Hahn delivers the 2-2 pitch, and Rocha's rung up.
A little bit of hesitation call there from the home plate umpire, but the Broncos will take it.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. It was a high strike against Rocha. So that brings up Tony Piazza, Luke Doyle in the on-deck circle. for the Heat. Tony from Regis University. Back over to Andrews. And Michael Hahn wants to keep Andrews close, keep that double play in order. And we have seen these Broncos turn numerous double plays. A big one last night in the first inning, down 3-0 and bases loaded and one out for Derby. They turned the 6-4-3 double play.
But we also saw Joe Kennedy in extra innings throw one past Wade Stramp at first, which got the runner over to third from first and really put the pressure on the Broncos. So, yeah, always have to keep that in mind as well when you're throwing balls over to first.
Good lead by Andrews. Schmitz will fire one down to second, and just missing the tag was Morgan Oliver. He had to come towards the first base side of second to field that ball. Tried to bring back the tag. I think a throw on the base there would have gotten Rowdy Andrews. Instead, a stolen base, and that takes the double play, at least a conventional double play, out of the equation here. Second and third, one out. And Piazza looks at strike. No, looks like it a ball. One ball and one strike to Piazza. El Dorado coming into play tonight, 7-15 Jayhawk League play. Hahn looks, big lead for Andrews over at second. You would assume any kind of single by Piazza would score Andrews. He's getting a great lead off there. That 1-1 pitch called a strike. Piazza didn't quite agree with it, but he's in a 1-2 hole now. Another strikeout is just what the doctor has to order here for Michael Hahn. Big righty looks in, and spoiling a good pitch was Piazza as he just slapped that thing foul. Wellington was out of the league last night. They played the Oklahoma Bulls, or they won 6-1 last night. Did Wellington?
Oklahoma City Bulls.
That's it. 1-2 pitch to Piazza. Curveball hit out to shortstop. Morgan Oliver fields it, throws it to third. It hits off the body of Andrews and goes into foul territory. Andrews looks okay. And 2 runs score for Wellington. So probably going to be a single and an error. Against El Dorado. Tough play. Piazza was going to get the single for sure, but now he advances to second as Oliver tried a valiant effort to try to get Andrews over at third base. But again, with as good of a lead, Avery, as he was getting off of second, it was going to be tough to throw him out. Morgan gambled a little bit there and lost.
That's one of those plays you'd like Morgan just to grab the ball and then bring it into the infield.
Did a great job gloving it. Two 2-0 Heat. Hahn delivers, and a strike to Luke Doyle. And again, Avery, how many times do we have to say? First inning runs against the Broncos here at McDonald Stadium. Three nights in a row. Last night and Sunday night trailed 3-0 after one. Hayesville eventually beat El Dorado 9-2 Sunday night. The Broncos came back and won in 16 last night, 8-7. 2 balls and 1 strike to Luke Doyle from Yavapai College. A long first inning here for Michael Hahn, and the pitch is high, ball 3. One of those nights, Xavier, for the pitcher and the catcher, more so than anyone else. You really hope for efficient innings so they don't have to stay out there too long in the heat here, against the heat. 3 balls and a strike, and Hahn delivers a strike. 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Luke Doyle.
When not only are they wearing these black jerseys and it's hot, but after playing a 16-inning game and the infielders and outfielders being on their feet for over 4 hours last night, could take a toll.
Of course, Schmitz did not catch last night. He DH'd, so he should be relatively fresh. Hahn, the 3-2 pitch, foul tip, and we'll do it again. Grant Buchanan on deck, waiting his turn. Wellington's taking a 2-0 lead here in the top of the first inning. Seipel leadoff double, Andrews a single, Rocha struck out. And then an RBI single for Tony Piazza, and Andrews scored on the air for Morgan Oliver. 3 balls and 2 strikes here to Luke Doyle. Doyle, left-handed batter, and just off the plate, ball 4.
The Broncos, although they gave up runs in the first inning last night, were able to come back and win that game in extra innings. But against a team like the Heat, it's even harder to come back.
And, I know I've mentioned several times how the Heat have won so many close games. They don't have games that I've noticed a lot of times where it's 12-10 or 11-9 or something. It's a lot of 5-3, 4-3 kind of games. Their pitching staff does a great job, and at the tail end of that staff, they've got Robbie Romero. So if they are tied or have a lead late, they're even doubly dangerous. Cale Russell is the starter tonight for Wellington. We'll see him, we hope, shortly. No balls and a strike to Buchanan, and a strike, 0-2. Buchanan from Colby College, junior college here in Kansas, out in northwest Kansas. Switch hitter is Buchanan, so he's batting from the left side. He throws lefty, so this, I'm guessing, more of his natural side. Hahn's pitch in the dirt. Nice job by Schmitz to block that. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We have 1 out here in the top of the first inning, a 2-0 Wellington lead. Tony Piazza is down at second base. Luke Doyle over at first base. Michael Hahn's got his sign. He comes set, and the pitch is just off the corner. Ball 2. Early on here, it looks like the inside part of the plate, you're getting a little more generous call, and upstairs in the strike zone, but the outside corner there, that was pretty close. We've seen that called the strike a lot of times this season. 2 balls and 2 strikes for Luke Doyle. The pitch hit out to shortstop. Morgan Oliver flips to Parker for 1, over to first for 2, a 6-4-3 double play, and again the Broncos flirt with disaster, Avery. They give up 2 runs, but it could have been a lot worse. Wellington leads 2-0. The home half of the first is coming up next here on YouTube. And welcome back. Let's give you the El Dorado batting lineup before Avery gives you the Wellington fielding situation tonight. Sam Lane will lead off, playing center field. Dylan Mucas second and left. Clayton Dalrymple. Talk more about him. He is back in the lineup for the first time in a long time. He's the DH. Michael Muka bats fourth, the right fielder. Jonathan Schmitz is fifth. Max Hogan bats sixth. Zach Field 7. Morgan Oliver is eighth, and Levi Parker will bat ninth for El Dorado.
In the field here tonight for the Wellington Heat, starting Sam Lane, testing first baseman and right fielder right away as it drops for a foul ball. In the field tonight, left field is Kirk Rocha, center field Aaron Seipel, and right field is Kyle Lacey. In the infield at third base, Luke Doyle, shortstop Casey Thomas. At second base is Grant Buchanan, and at first base is Tony Piazza. Starting catcher tonight for the Heat, Paul Richmond. He'll be catching the ball from starting pitcher Cale Russell.
0-1 pitch to Sam Lane, fouled off, and of course we celebrate, and rightly so, Michael Muka's heroics in the 16th inning, but it was Sam Lane's triple that, with one out there in the 16th, that made it all possible.
Found a pitch he could elevate, and he did.
He had been 0 for 7. Here's a line drive out to center field and a little bit of a basket catch made out there by Seipold to retire his fellow center field mate, Sam Lane. But, Sam had a drive out to center field last night that was caught. Then he had that big triple out to left center field. He is putting the bat on the ball. Having a little bit of bad luck. How many times do you see guys just hit it solidly but right at someone, and then you'll see a little broken bat or just a little blooper one way or the other? It's baseball for you. Dylan Muka at the plate, and he's got a 1-1 count. Dylan out of Southern Illinois University. And he pops one out between left and center field. Seipel covers a lot of ground and comes in and makes the catch for Wellington. And the much-anticipated return of Clayton Dalrymple. Good to see number 5 again, Avery. He made such an impression on us just watching him play the first week or two of the season. And then I can't remember what game it was where he squared around to bunt. He took one off the hand, off the finger. And that sidelined him for about a month. According to our stats keeper, Gary, Clayton can swing the bat. Still can't really grip a baseball, so we're not going to see him in the field anytime here in the near future, but he can swing a bat.
Happy to see him back on the field for us.
So Clayton Dalrymple against Cale Russell, and he looks at another strike. No balls and 2 strikes. Dalrymple goes to Kansas State University. Probably a little bit of nerves, too. He hasn't swung against live pitching in got to be about a month, don't you think? The 0-2 from Russell in the turf, 1-2. Michael Muka waits on deck for the Broncos. 2-0 Wellington. We're in the bottom of the first inning. Russell's pitch in there for a strike, and we were confused that it was a 2-1 count there, not 1-2. So now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Russell, quick worker. And the pitch high, 3-2. That's one thing. All these Wellington pitchers, they are ready to go. And
something we like to see.
Yeah, for the most part, El Dorado too. But I think Wellington does it maybe as good as anyone. Cale Russell, a full count to Dalrymple. He pokes it over first base down the right field line, and a fair ball, and it gets past the right fielder. Dalrymple will head his way to second base for a 2-out double. Kyle Lacey let it bounce, and again, it's been dry here for the last several days here in South Central Kansas. That hit that ground and kind of shot away from Lacey, and so we'll give him a double on the play.
And now last night's hero, Michael Muka.
Let's see if the Broncos can come up with a little 2-out magic here. First 2 were retired with fly balls to center field. Dalrymple poked one down the right field line for a double. Michael looks at strike 1. Muka goes to Wichita State University. Had a big RBI triple last night, and then the RBI single in the bottom of the 16th won the game. Russell is right around the plate again, 0-2. Russell appeared in the July 1st game here. He pitched the 9th inning, and no damage was done against Cale Russell. Starting tonight, Dalrymple stealing. Muka swings and misses. He is out on strikes, and that's the end of the first inning. No runs, a hit, no errors, 1 left. We're through 1. Wellington 2, El Dorado 0. More play-by-play in a moment here on YouTube. Wellington Heat off to a 2-0 lead after one inning of play here from El Dorado. And leading off for the Heat, Kyle Lacey, the right fielder, left-handed swinger, and he swings at the first pitch for strike one. Lacey goes to school at Oklahoma City. Lacey, Richmond, and Thomas, the scheduled three here for Wellington, the 7, 8, 9 batters, facing Michael Hahn. Talked about Michael's ERA coming into this game tonight, a 16.30 ERA for Hahn. This is his 6th appearance on the season. Walks have hurt him, 15 walks in 12 innings of action. And a ball too tall there for even Jonathan Schmitz. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hahn's got a sign for Schmitz, and here's the 2-2 pitch, and it's slapped down to first base. Zach Fields gobbles it up, and he'll touch the base for the first out. And that'll bring up Paul Richmond.
Kurt, I'd like to encourage everyone to comment on this video. Tell us where you're listening from, who you're listening for tonight, whether it be a player or just a fan of either the Heat or the Broncos. Comment on the video and let us know.
Or a fan of Avery Osen.
Yeah.
Could comment there too. I would comment. Paul looked at ball one. Quickly delivering here is Michael Hahn, and a check swing foul for strike one against Richmond. He's a catcher from the University of Missouri at St. Louis, and seen a lot of good catchers in this league. He ranks right up there for me, watching him behind the plate. Strike two from Michael Hahn. Schmitz, Hogan, and Fields will be the three up for El Dorado in the home half of the second inning. Michael Hahn ahead 1-2. The right-hander wheels and deals, and it looked like a strike. Yep, it is. I'm not sure if it was a swinging strike or a called strike, but it's a strikeout for Paul Richmond. He checked his swing. The pitch was pretty close, it looked like, from up here anyway, so 2 away in the top of the second inning, and here comes Casey Thomas, the shortstop. Casey goes to Gateway Community College and looks at ball one.
Have a traditional player does not wear any batting gloves.
How about that?
Don't see that very often.
Would bat, no batting gloves? And maybe he should. The bat just went flying right out of his hands. Now, we saw a very scary one of those last night from Colin Neville from Derby, left-handed swinger, and his follow-through, the bat went whistling into the Derby dugout. I mean, it was like a helicopter going in there, and then we saw someone go down. Well, they were trying to avoid the bat. They weren't hit by the bat that we know of. But that was scary. That one was a little less scary as it was hitting the turf and kind of skipping its way towards the El Dorado dugout. The 1-1 pitch is outside. Ball two, strike one to Casey Thomas. 2 away in the top of the second, and Thomas finds a hole between first and second base and reaches with a single. Love that approach there, Avery. I mean, he's down 1-2. Anything close, he's swinging, and he just guided one right through the right side of the infield, and El Dorado had him played to pull a little bit. Nicely hit between Levi Parker and Zach Fields.
Yeah, good placement hit there from Casey Thomas, and now Aaron Seipel, the oh-so-dangerous Aaron Seipel.
Maybe one of the, of course, we don't see every game. We see all the games here, and Aaron Seipel just seems to be maybe that MVP-like kind of guy. He just, when he's going well, everything goes good for Wellington. Plays his position really well out in center field. He's a great leadoff hitter. Got speed. I imagine he's got some pop, but he's a good singles hitter, doubles hitter. We don't have their stats, but he's a fun one to watch. And I know there's always some Seipel family watching. I'm not just saying that because I know they might be watching. He's really good. And he's ahead here, 2 balls and no strikes. Seipel led off the game with a double. Advanced to third on Rowdy Andrews' single, and then scored on Tony Piazza's single. 2-0 Wellington, top of the second inning. Michael Hahn's pitch is low, ball 3. Rowdy Andrews waits on deck for the Heat. And on your video, I know both teams have very similar uniforms tonight. If you're here, you could really tell a lot easier. The 3-0 pitch to Seipel in there for a strike. The Broncos are black with the orange numerals. Wellington's got the black jerseys with the kind of the maroon numerals and gold trim. 3 balls and a strike. And the pitch just upstairs, ball 4. So a single and a walk, and now Wellington trying to get something going here in the top of the second inning after the first 2 batters were retired by Michael Hahn. We talked about it last night too, Avery. 16-inning game. The bullpen was really taxed last night for Chad Gerwig. Thank goodness for Trevor Rizzo getting 5 2/3 innings, but really need Michael Hahn to give you 5 or 6 tonight, you would think. So that brings up Rowdy Andrews, who singled and later scored in the first inning, and he looks at ball 1. Kirk Rocha waiting on deck for the Heat. 2-way, top of the second. 1-0 count to Rowdy Andrews. And the pitch from Michael Hahn in the turf, blocked by Schmitz, 2-0. And Jonathan Schmitz will go out and talk to Hahn. Michael Avery got Kyle Lacey to ground out to first, then a strikeout of Paul Richmond. Had Casey Thomas down with 2 strikes, but Thomas singled, then a 5-pitch walk to Seipel, and now 2-0 to Andrews.
Yeah, look, everything was cruising in that second inning. Easy play to Fields, a strikeout, and now a little bump in the road here, but 2 down, so all Hahn has to do is focus on the batter and get Rowdy Andrews here.
2 balls and no strikes, and Hahn's pitch just off the inside corner, ball 3. That was pretty close. So 3-0 to Rowdy Andrews. And Hahn just committed a balk. So that'll advance runners to the second and third. Here's the 2-0 pitch inside, and it did graze Andrews, and Michael Hahn could be asking for trouble now. Here comes Kirk Rocha with the bases loaded.
Kurt, just an inning and a half in, and we already have our first comment of the night here. Dennis Weiner, grandparent of Colt Weiner, the pitcher for the Broncos, is watching tonight. They watch all the home games, and last Tuesday they made it to a game to watch in person. So excellent. Dennis and Elaine Weiner tuning into our broadcast tonight, cheering on the Broncos.
Well, we could need their good mojo here. Well, it says here that Colt's from Plano, Texas, so I'm going to guess that's where the grandparents might be from. Kirk Rocha. He struck out last inning, but he's a very dangerous hitter. Last time that Wellington was here, Rocha went 2 for 4 with a couple of singles and a couple of runs scored. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and Hahn dials in a strike on the first pitch, and this is bat to Kirk Rocha. 2-0 Wellington. The Heat have filled the bases here. No balls and a strike. Hahn lost this one. It ricochets right off the netting, and not in time is Schmitz to get Casey Thomas, who scores. That one was a pretty good ricochet off the netting, Avery. And Schmitz, I think, bobbled it just a moment. Once he gathered it and then dove towards home, he couldn't get Thomas.
Yeah, and maybe even a toss to Hahn there probably would have got him. But nevertheless, 3-0 Heat.
Take all the forces out of play. Runners at second and third. 1 ball and 1 strike. And now 1 into the turf for Hahn. So, boy, if you're Jonathan Schmitz, I mean, the pitch the last pitch sails way over your head. Now that one spiked well in front of home plate. 3-0 Wellington. And Rocha looking to add on here. Michael Hahn sets, the right-hander deals, and that's outside, ball 3. Tony Piazza, who singled in the first, is on deck. Kirk Rocha in control here. 3 balls and 1 strike. He'll be looking dead red. And the pitch is low and outside, ball 4. No activity in the Bronco bullpen, which is not a surprise with how many pitchers Coach Gerwick's had to use the last 2 nights.
And now Tony Piazza will be the batter for the Heat with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And all this started with a single from Casey Thomas, the number 9-hole hitter. It's turned into a lot of trouble for the Broncos.
You know, if you can get Piazza, though, you could still be down just 3-0 and would feel, I think, pretty fortunate. Hahn's pitch off the plate, ball 1. Piazza last inning grounded one in the hole at short. It was gloved by Morgan Oliver, and he tried to throw out Rowdy Andrews, who was going from second to third. That throw went awry. Andrews ultimately scored after that error. But it was a base hit for Piazza, who just looks at strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. A very slow start again here for El Dorado. Second night in a row. Hahn's pitch is low, ball 2. Last night, you might remember, 16 Twins came to the plate in the first 2 innings, and they led 6-1 after 1.5. 2 balls, 1 strike, and the pitch from Hahn outside, ball 3. And now we are getting some action down in the El Dorado bullpen. 3 balls and a strike. And mentioned earlier, Avery, walks have been a problem for Michael Hahn this year. More walks than innings pitched. And right now he's just trying to find it. 3 balls and a strike to Piazza. And the pitch is in there, strike 2. So we'll have the old merry-go-round going now. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs in the top of the second. Hahn's got the sign. Runner's ready to go. And the pitch is low, ball 4. So a single, a walk, a hit by pitch, a walk, and a walk. And Wellington, Avery, is about the last team that you want to gift runs to.
Yeah, they take full advantage of your mistakes, and that's why they've only lost 3 times this whole summer.
And that was a fairly close 3-2 pitch. You don't see him fishing either. Here's a pitch inside, nearly hit Luke Doyle on the back foot. Looks like a sign from the bullpen. Whoever's warming up down there is ready to go. That might be Greg Hauser down there right now. We saw him.
29.
That's Hauser. Hauser pitched an exciting inning last night. Probably wasn't Greg's best stuff, but he got out of a jam, which was the most important thing. 2 away here in the top of the second. It is 4-0 Wellington. And Luke Doyle looks to add to that lead, and another pitch inside, ball 2. Grant Buchanan waiting on deck for the Heat. Doyle walked in the first inning. The 2-0 pitch, outside corner, strike 1. That might have been generous right there. That might have been a sympathy strike from the home plate umpire. 2 balls and a strike. Hahn delivers, and again, same spot, strike 2. Stay right there, Michael. It's 2-2 with 2 away. 3 walks, a single, and a hit batsman in the second inning for Wellington. They started the inning with 2 outs in a row. A ground out by Lacey and a strikeout of Paul Richmond. 2 balls and 2 strikes, and a foul ball. So it remains 2-2. This feels exactly like last night's game already, Avery.
Yep. Hopefully we get the same result.
Although, can we get it done in sooner than 16 innings? Here's the 2-2 pitch. And a curveball in there, strike 3. Well, after all is said and done, Avery, it's 4-0. Not too bad for the Broncos.
Could have been worse.
Could have been way worse. In the inning for the Heat, they scored 2 times on 1 hit. There was no errors and 3 men left on base. We head to the home half of the second. Wellington 4 and El Dorado 0. Welcome back to El Dorado. Tell you what, Cale Russell had a long sit down there. That turned out to be what looked like was going to be a quick, handy inning for Michael Hahn. Turned into a real taxing one, and Cale Russell was on the bench a long time. So Jonathan Schmitz will lead off the bottom of the second inning. First pitch swinging, and he fouls it out of play. Cale Russell in that first inning and the inning we saw him pitch here on July 1st, he is a strike feeder in there. Schmitz from Tarleton State University. 0-1 pitch, high, ball 1. Schmitz, Hogan, and Fields. The scheduled 3 here for El Dorado. The bullpen has slowed down. Greg Hauser was warm. Probably would have come in if Luke Doyle had reached. Schmitz gets under one, flies it mile high out to Aaron Seipel. He'll camp under it and make the easy catch. Seipel has caught 3 fly balls already of the first 4 outs today. Here's Max Hogan. Max had a pretty good night last night. He drove in a run. He scored a run. He had a couple of stolen bases. No balls and a strike, and Hogan whistles one right to second base where Grant Buchanan fields it over to first for the second out. So Cale Russell making short work of Schmitz and Hogan, and now here's Zach Fields. Fields came in after Schmitz last night had gone 0 for 4 at DH. Well, Fields came in, and Zach went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and a walk. 1 ball and no strikes to Fields here. Fields from Central Michigan University. Looks at ball 2, 2-0. Cale Russell, left-handed pitcher, at the ready, and here he comes home. The pitch. Fields lines it right out to Aaron Seipel. He'll retire the side. A very efficient 1-2-3 inning for Cale Russell. We're through 2 complete from El Dorado. Heat 4, Broncos 0. More play-by-play in a moment. You're watching and listening to El Dorado Bronco Baseball here on YouTube. And welcome back to El Dorado. And as we get ready to hand it over to Avery Osen, Gary just came down and showed me that Michael Hahn has already thrown 69 pitches in this game, 36 of which have been balls. Wellington has left some runners out on the base pads. They lead it 4-0. We enter the top of the third, and here's Avery.
Yeah, Mike Hahn just threw a 70th pitch of the night, which you're not really into baseball. That's in 2 innings of work. That is a lot of pitches as he throws one into the turf. And evens up the count at 1-1 on second baseman Grant Buchanan, who ended the first inning and grounded the ball to Morgan Oliver at short and got a double play out of it. Next pitch up high, 2-1.
Well, Avery, if you could just try to figure here in the first 2 innings how many minutes, I'll tell you here in a second after this pitch.
2-1 pitch. Gets the outside corner called, 2-2.
We've played for 44 minutes. How long has the El Dorado defense been out on the field compared to the Wellington defense?
I'd almost say 35 of the 45, if maybe more.
I was thinking even about 38-6 or so. I mean, Russell has really cruised through 4 flyouts out to Seipel, where Wellington's halfway through their lineup for the second time.
Full count to Buchanan, a 3-2 pitch up high. Hahn loses him. And that'll bring up Kyle Lacey, the right fielder. So the Broncos will be looking to induce another double play. Lacey grounded out to Zach Fields last inning. Looking to bunt here. Pulls it back for ball, 1-0.
Again, to keep in mind, the Broncos were down 6-1 after 1.5 last night. They're down 4-0 after 2 here. It just feels like it could be a lot worse. Last night it felt the same way. That could be a lot worse.
1-0 pitch. Bunted down the first base line and foul. 1-1. So Greg Hauser is in the Bronco bullpen warming up. Expected to see him probably pretty soon. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hahn over to Fields, not in time to get Buchanan. Lacey already showing bunt. He'll get it down, but it rolls foul. 1-2. We'll see if Lacey tries a bunt here with 2 strikes. It'd be awfully risky, though. For 4-0 Wellington. Top of the third. 1-2 pitch in the dirt and then the turf, but it skips and it hits Lacey on the leg. So first and second, nobody out, and Paul Richmond. And the Broncos look to be making a pitching change here in the top of the third inning. And they will. They'll bring in lefty Greg Hauser. We'll have that coming up for you. You're listening to El Dorado Bronco Baseball here on YouTube.
Broncos, number 29, Greg Hauser.
That does look like him. I got a good close look at him.
So Greg Hauser will now be the new pitcher for the Broncos. The runners on first and second, still the responsibility of Mike Hahn. The batter, Paul Richmond, the catcher who struck out last inning. First pitch of this at bat to him. He squares around a bunt. He gets one down. It's a good one right back to Hauser. He'll toss it over to Zach Fields at first. But Richmond does his job and advances Buchanan and Lacey to second and third. And now Casey Thomas, the shortstop, who started everything in the second inning with a base hit, ended up scoring. Infield back for the Broncos. Already down 4-0. The first pitch is fouled off the Wellington dugout. 0-1 to Casey Thomas. A 1 pitch inside. A good stop from Schmitz. 1-1. Buchanan on third, Lacey on second. The 1-1 pitch tapped down the third base line. 1-2.
Avery, the last 6 Heat base runners have reached by either walk or hit by pitch. Their last hit was Casey Thomas with 2 outs in the top of the second inning. That's making it tough on yourself against the best team in the league.
To say the least. And now Levi Parker scoots up at second as Thomas fouls one off.
Thomas reminds me of a right-handed version of Levi Parker. He's looking, his first single, you might remember, went between Zach Fields and Levi Parker on the right side. And he's got an open stance. Looks like he's just looking to shoot it out there to right field. Michael Muka plays a little deeper than what we saw Dylan Dillard last night in left field against Levi Parker.
1 ball, 2 strike. The pitch inside. Schmitz makes sure it doesn't go too far away from him. 2 balls and 2 strikes as Schmitz heads on up to the mound. Looks like giving some words of encouragement here to Hauser, trying to get through Casey Thomas, but the only problem is, you know who's standing on deck? Aaron Seipel. Two balls, 2 strikes as Hauser steps off the mound. One out here in the top of the third inning. 2-2 pitch, low. Fills the count up 3-2. Big pitch here would make him loaded with a walk. 3-2 pitch, single right past a diving Levi Parker. And Casey Thomas, he's 2 for 2 and 2 big RBIs from the 9-hole batter.
That will close the book on Michael Hahn, Avery. 2+ innings, 4 hits given up, 6 runs, 5 walks, and 2 hit batters.
That will not help your whip.
No, it won't. Then, there again, we see Casey Thomas. Plays up the middle or to the right side. He's not looking to pull one and try to jack one to the left field wall. He knows his strengths, and his strengths is making contact and finding a hole, and he's done that twice.
No balls and a strike to Seipel. Next pitch in the turf. Thomas takes second. The ball fell right in front of Jonathan Schmitz. He tried to get Thomas at second, not in time. So Casey Thomas on with a stolen base. A ball and a strike. That takes out any double play possibilities. Of course, it'd be hard to double up Aaron Seipel anyways. 1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch. Tapped to Morgan Oliver, the shortstop. It'll be a tough play. He gets Seipel by a step at first. So that'll bring up Rowdy Andrews. Andrews 1 for 1 tonight and a hit by pitch. First pitch to him in there, 0-1. Next pitch is missed by Andrews. 0-2. That swing advanced Thomas to third, so he is standing 90 feet away from another run. With 2 outs in the top of the 3rd inning. One-two pitch. Hit to Max Hogan at third. Takes a couple steps and delivers a good throw to Zach Fields. But the Heat put up 2 runs again for the 3rd consecutive inning. They lead 6-0. Broncos coming up to bat here next. Kel Russell back out for the Wellington Heat as he has barely been on the mound tonight. He's spent more time in his own dugout than Next pitch, low, 3-1. Three balls and a strike. Next pitch in there, 3-2. Three balls and two strikes. Next pitch is hit to the first baseman. It's under him. And a single for Dylan Muka. And a single or an error there?
That'll be an error on Piazza.
Nevertheless, a run scores for the Broncos. I'd like to, or something that happened with our stream just a minute ago, and now it seems to be back up, so I hope everything is fine now. First pitch to Clayton Dalrymple. Inside, 1-0. If someone would comment and just let us know if this, I believe the stream's still back on.
It looks like it's going.
But if someone, I don't care, just comment on here and tell us if everything's working again. We don't have the backside right now. So 2 balls and no strikes to Dalrymple. That'd be really appreciated. Dylan Muka on first. The 2-0 pitch. Right down the middle, 2-1. Two balls and a strike. 2 outs, bottom of the third, 6-1 Heat. 2-1 pitch, hit down the third base line, just foul. Evens up the count at 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. 2-2 pitch is swung on and fouled.
Barely tapped foul there by Clayton.
So keeps him alive. He chomps one to the second baseman. They'll get him out at first, but the Broncos get a much-needed run here just to get them a little bit of confidence. They still trail by 5 runs. We head to the top of the fourth. Heat 6, Broncos 1. More play-by-play coming up here from McDonald Stadium. Wellington Heat lead the El Dorado Broncos 6-1 here on a Monday night here at McDonald Stadium in El Dorado. Greg Hauser, still the pitcher for the Broncos. He's pitching to Kirk Rocha. First pitch to him is a good hit past the third baseman, Max Hogan, who dove to try to stop that ball right under his glove. And a leadoff single for Rocha. And now Tony Piazza. First pitch is going to be actually thrown over to first, Zach Fields. Not in time to get Rocha. Piazza 1 for 1 tonight, singled in the first inning and walked in the second. First pitch to him, right down the middle, 0-1. Oh, 1 pitch is tossed over back to first. Rocha gets back in time. The 0-1 pitch is hit to right field. Michael Muka has it, and for a second maybe thought he would have a chance to throw it back to first to try to double up Rocha. Ball didn't drop in time, and 1 out here in the top of the 4th inning.
I want to say thank you to Tracy Andrews. We're going to guess the mother of Rowdy Andrews for her nice comments. We really think her comment there is exactly what Dave and I shoot for every time we come out and broadcast. So thank you, Tracy, for the nice comments. And, even though Rowdy's on the Wellington Heat that we don't broadcast for, he and so many of these players just play the game hard. They play the game right. Fun to watch.
The pitch is a hit and run. Levi Parker was going to second to try to cover the stolen base. And it is going to be a double and a run for the Wellington Heat. I looked down at my score sheet and I didn't even see the hit. All I saw was it going into the outfield. But a double for Luke Doyle, who was the batter there.
Avery, the Heat put on a hit and run, and Doyle smacked that so hard he nearly hit Kirk Rocha, who I don't know if he actually picked up the ball, and it whistled right in front of him. And as Kirk kind of was looking at second, he was looking to see where the ball was, looking to see where the outfielders were. He just kept on going 100 miles an hour, and he scored. Good throw from Levi Parker to Schmitz at home, but not in time to get Rocha. And a 7-1 lead here for Wellington.
First pitch to Grant Buchanan is a ball. If anyone is having technical difficulties tonight, we have ours pulled up now on the site. If you refresh your page, hopefully that should fix the buffering that is happening. 1 ball, no strikes. Next pitch low, 2-0. I don't know. We've had really good success all season with our technology and the internet and everything, so hopefully this won't continue. But if you are having troubles, refresh the page or comment on here and let us know, and we can see if something has happened with the stream or not. As Hauser delivers a strike, 2-1. Two balls and a strike. The next pitch in there, 2-2.
We don't, when we have the webcam on, we could webcam in HD, but that would make for a lot of buffering. We webcam at a fairly low resolution in hopes that buffering doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened really. It hasn't been much of an issue this year. And the buffering we saw here could be even from our own internet signal and whatnot. So hopefully you're not having those issues and enjoying the game tonight, which if you're a Heat fan, you're really enjoying it because they just keep on putting runs on the board. So Grant Buchanan looks at strike 3 from Greg Hauser. Went on the inside corner. So 2 away here in the Wellington 4th. Kyle Lacey coming up for the 3rd time. He has grounded out to Zach Fields at first, and he was hit by a pitch and scored in the 3rd. Hauser's pitch, a little bit high, ball 1. 7-1 Wellington. Taking advantage of a lot of the gifts that El Dorado has granted them here tonight. A lot of walks, a couple of hit batters. 1, 2. Two of the gentlemen that have walked for Wellington have scored. One, Kyle Lacey, who was hit by a pitch, scored as well. So 3 of their 7 runs have really, you could say, been gifted by the Broncos. 2 balls and no strikes. Lefty on lefty matchup here. Greg Hauser to Kyle Lacey. Hauser in relief of Mike Hahn, who went 2+ innings, but really fought his control tonight. The pitch from Hauser, hit up the middle. Levi Parker circles it nicely, flips it over to first, and just does get the hustling Kyle Lacey, who really sprinted down the line. But another run for Wellington. They do it on 2 hits. No errors and 1 left. We go to the home half of the 4th. Wellington 7, El Dorado 1.
So leading off this inning for the El Dorado Broncos is Michael Mucco, struck out to end the 1st inning as the Broncos trail 7-1. First pitch from Cale Russell, inside, 1-0. One ball, no strike. The pitch hit up the middle and a base hit for Michael Mucco, almost identical to what happened last night, when he shot one right up the middle for a game-winning base hit. And now Jonathan Schmitz